Hello and welcome to Video Game Hangover. I'm Randy Dickinson and I'm in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania.
Hey, I'm DJ Ross in Mountain View, California.
Each week here on Video Game Hangover, we talk about the games that have been keeping us up at night. This week we're wrapping up another successful Extra Life gaming marathon, talking about games we played like Mineko's Night Market, Golf Gang, Korokoro Harley, Jusant, and maybe some more.
Yeah, man, there was no shortage of games this Saturday.
It was a lot. It was, yeah. Although, I normally get to my 12th hour and I'm like, I need to stop. I'm done. I need to like pry myself off this couch and eat solid foods again. And this year I sort of like, I could keep going. I'm like, I'm in. I'm up. Let's do this. Yeah. I felt pretty good. That's not always the case.
Keep those donations rolling in.
Yeah.
I think this may have been the the most tired I have been at the end of an Extra Life thing since we started doing this. Although I have theories on why that could have been.
Is it a work-life balance thing?
No, although I did have a very long week at work. But I was just like, I was excited. I was ready to do this Saturday morning. I got up at like 6 a.m. so I could, get coffee and breakfast, maybe catch a little bit of your stream before I started. But by the end of it, I was just like, oh my God, I'm going to literally die here. I was like, I went back to Street Fighter 6 towards the end, and I was playing the mode. It's like there's a story mode in Street Fighter 6 where you spend a lot of time walking around a city, just trying to pick fights with people, I guess. And there were multiple times where I realized I had just been like walking into a wall or like into a corner for who knows how long. And I was like, oh, good thing we're not like broadcasting this or anything. Nobody's seeing this.
I heard it wasn't this year, but it was one year. There was a game that I was playing, and I was doing like the micro sleep thing, where you like you do the jello neck, kind of like, and catch yourself and wake up again. That was not this year. I was good this year, but certainly in previous years I've been there.
Yeah. So I think it was because it was towards the end, and we weren't doing like a full 24-hour stretch. That I like found myself in this state, because if I had been expected to go for another like 6 hours, which at the time I thought about, and it sounded nightmarish that we would have done that at one point, I feel like it would have been still like, loaded up on like caffeine, and I used to do these little espresso shots, which is something you should not do at 2 a.m. But I hadn't had any caffeine for like several hours at that point, so I was fading fast.
Yeah. I think my sort of like 11th hour like rush was Sarah coming home with a tall shaken espresso for me. And I was like, yeah, let's go. Come on. So that was definitely sort of like, liquid courage, I think, at that point.
Yeah.
But no, I remember getting up Sunday morning, and the PlayStation app on my phone for some reason tells me every time you log into your PlayStation. And it was
every time I log in?
Anytime you log in. I guess it's like your best friends on the list, on the friends list.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So just me keeping tabs on your gaming. And at 2 a.m. it said your friend DJ is online. And I was like, what the hell is he doing at 2 a.m.?
What do you think I'm doing?
Extra Life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So good. No, I think us not doing 24 hours in a row is one of the smartest things we've ever done for our sanity.
I think so. No, it absolutely is.
Yeah. Because
let me tell you, I would definitely be up if we all decided, like, let's do 24 hours again. And I mentally prepared myself for it. I could probably do 24 hours. But, man, it's just, you don't feel healthy at the end of the evening if you're doing that.
And then you sleep for 8 hours, like on the middle of Sunday, and it just completely wrecks your day.
Yeah.
So yeah, we do our big kind of collective marathon. You go a little longer than I do, I think. And then we pick up some time for here and through the rest of the year and do a little something for, Giving Tuesday and things like that, trying to keep donations come in and sort of meet our 24-hour obligation before the end of the year. So we get there, and we do the big work on game day, but Yeah, I'm not about trying to do 24 hours in a row anymore.
Yeah. I really like the middle of the night hours of the marathon, where, it starts to get a little loopy and like the weird games come out. We used to do like a live show and maybe crack open a few beverages, and it's a good time.
Yep.
So I miss those years of doing Extra Life, but
I forgot we used to record in the middle of the Wii Smalls. Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun. It was very chaotic.
Quality content.
Yeah, I'm sure. I don't remember how those episodes went.
Might be tough to go back and listen to some of those episodes.
Yeah, well, who knows. Good times, though. It's always a great time at Extra Life.
We had yet another very good year.
We did, yeah. Thanks to everybody out there listening who helped support us. Should we go over some record numbers from the weekend? I think the grand total takeaway, not takeaway, that sounds like we are, escaping with the money. the grand total raised for Children's Miracle Network hospitals was $1,192.91. Somebody decided they found some pocket change or something. Just put in those 91 cents. But no, it's all good. We appreciate it. Smashed our annual donation goal. And in fact, this brings us to over $15,000 raised over the 10 years we've been doing this event. So that's very exciting.
Yeah, that's super cool. I mentioned that total to my mom a couple of weeks ago, and she left me a very nice note on game day and said, "So proud of you and your friend. Thank you for doing what you do."
That's nice.
Yeah. It's my little brother was a sick kid growing up and spent a lot of time in children's hospitals. So it is a charity that I happily participate for and raise money for, because I see the value in making sure families are taken care of in situations like that. So it's nice. It's a nice thing. Yeah.
What was I going to say? Oh, so we love to let everybody know how much we raise, but it's really everybody out there listening to this, and everybody who joined us on the stream and supported us this Saturday, who we should be grateful for. So thank you so much, everybody, for your very kind generosity. Like, we appreciate it. I'm sure the children on the receiving end and all the hospital workers appreciate it as well.
Absolutely. We want to shout out to we had kind of we've done this a couple of years now. We've opened up our team for people in the Video Game Hangover community to join us. And not a lot of folks take us up on it year after year, but Deadly Gearhead from our Discord has participated a couple of years now. He played one of our multiplayer games with us this year and was raising money for the team total as well. So shout out to him for hanging in there through his gaming marathon and hitting his goal as well.
Yeah. Thanks so much for joining us, Deadly Gearhead. We appreciate it. Had a lot of fun playing Golf Gang with you as well.
Yeah, it was a good time.
We should mention that donations remain open through December 31st. So if you missed out, or if you want to maybe even out that 91 cents, man, that is bugging me. You can go to VGHangover.com/extralife and get the donation link there. Maybe catch up on some of the streams that you missed. There was something I wanted to go back. I wanted to catch during your stream where I was playing something else. So I am myself going to do that, and maybe I will contribute that missing 9 cents to the total at the same time.
I forget all of that stuff gets archived. That's like, oh no, that's out there somewhere for people to watch.
Well, I mean, you can delete it if you want, but that's no fun.
No, sure, that's fine. I think I'm such a reluctant and infrequent streamer that it's awkward being like in the middle of playing a video game and my friends are here and strangers are here and people are chatting with me while I'm trying to fuse fruit into making other fruit. And it's like, okay, how do I be entertaining and on and also focus on winning this game? And it's a very, I think it takes a teenager probably to be really adept at it. But I'm like, no, I can do this. This is within my skill set somewhere probably.
Yeah. I mean, you also only stream like once a year. So
yeah.
I'm sure if you ended up doing it more frequently, you'd develop more of a rhythm for it.
I think I I talked somebody out of following me on Twitch.
Well, okay, we should work on that. That's,
yes,
that's
yeah. Like, this is not how you do it, Randy. As I was saying, as the words were coming out of my mouth, I was like, no, wait, that's bad. They were like, oh, thank you for raising money for the charity. Do you stream often? Because I'll give you a follow. And I'm like, oh no, I really only stream once a year.
It's like, no, don't do that.
no, save your follows for somebody else.
Man, the correct answer is like, oh yeah, I do this every day. In fact, whoa,
yes.
What was your favorite game? I'm playing that tomorrow, so don't miss out.
Same bat time, same bat channel. Come back 1 year from today, and I'll be here again.
Yes. Yeah. Oh man, those were the worst when it was tune in next year. Your long cliffhanger episode.
But it was good. Yeah, I think Suika game, the watermelon game, which I still continue to have kind of a mild obsession with, was my most watched stream at any point during the day, which is surprising because there's like 4,000 people streaming that game at any given point lately. I think that's a real number, honestly. And I had the biggest audience for that. I think you tuned in at one point. We had a couple of folks for the Discord who were giving advice on what fruit to drop in where, and it was a good time. I actually set a new high score while screaming that as well. So,
did you get that fabled double watermelon?
No, I have. At that point, I still had not seen a watermelon in game. We are recording this on Wednesday night, and I was playing last night, Tuesday, not on stream, just laying in bed, and got watermelons finally.
Oh, that's perfect.
So I continue to set high scores and continue to sort of find little ways of adapting my probably pointless strategies to try to get there. So it's fun. It's a super addictive game. It's only $3 on the Switch. If it is mildly interesting to anybody listening to this, I continue to recommend it. It's a lot of fun.
Okay. Cool.
I think it was enough to sort of convince a few folks on our Discord to jump in because we've been comparing scores and stuff like that. So it's fun.
I thought that was also hilarious, especially after people clued in to the fact that maybe the scoring does not work the same way between all the different versions of it. So people were like, oh, I just got 10,000 points. What do you, I don't understand what you're struggling with.
And I was struggling to break 2,000, yeah. The scoring rubric might be slightly different depending on which version of the game you're playing. So,
I think that's hilarious.
Yeah. I was resisting the urge to say, well, we're not comparing apples to apples, but it's really watermelons to watermelons, if you know what I mean. Yeah. It's fun though. It was Eshin, friend of the show. He's been here before. Mentioned my very first game, Randy. I got almost 3,000 points. I'm like, I need receipts. I need to know exactly what you're doing. Tell me what fruit you dropped and where.
He's just a pro fruit organizer.
He's got a lot of fruit ninja on his prior resume and was ready for this challenge. No, he's playing a version of this on iOS called My Suika, which I think I suspect at the very least has a slightly different scoring metric than the version I'm playing.
Surely that can be the only explanation.
It's really the only logical explanation, correct?
Right, yeah. Oh man.
It couldn't be that he's just, amazing at playing video games and somehow finishes like 100 more than I do in a year.
No, he just starts with a watermelon in the jar. It's like, I did it.
His first drop is a watermelon. Like, what the hell? I quit.
It's like, see, my strategy, you just start with the watermelon. Like, why are you working your way up to it?
I mean, it is called Watermelon Game.
Right.
What are you doing with all these cherries and grapes?
You're just wasting your time, really.
How about you? How was your stream this year? What were people tuning in for?
I had a good stream despite the just weirdness happening during Street Fighter 6. Started out with a successful.
Despite your dozing.
Right. Yeah. I cleared the Spelunky daily to start the stream, which is always I feel like it's a sign of good luck, good fortune for the rest of the day. So always happy to do that. I moved on to Metal Gear Ghost Babel, which is sort of in honor of this Metal Gear collection, which just came out. I was like, I'll play this weird Metal Gear Game Boy game that was not in the collection. I think there's a lot of outcry around that, actually, where people were like, oh, you forgot one. But this was like a fun sort of like retro thing to come back to. It is it's very much in the vein of the older Metal Gear games. So, like, even though Metal Gear Solid 1, it's like, I don't know if it's fair to call it the most famous one, but, the most sort of revolutionary. Like, when it came out, I was just like, oh my god, I can't believe, I've never seen anything like this in a game before. If you think about it, and especially compare it to where the series has gone, it's still like a pretty sort of modest, like, top-down 2D stealth game, despite having, just incredible presentation, especially at the time. But, like, Kojima made a bunch of, or like 2 Metal Gear games preceding that, and they were just sort of the same style, these top-down 2D stealth games. And Ghost Babel for the Game Boy it's more or less, another game in that mold, where, obviously the Game Boy has pretty modest specs, so you can't do a full 3D thing like some of the later entries, but it's just a fun, sort of brisk, like, stealth experience that is very familiar if you've played any of the Metal Gear, or like the early Metal Gear games, or even Metal Gear Solid 1, because you're just doing stuff that you do in those games. You're, like, avoiding guards, you're, like, shimmying along walls, and you can do the classic sort of, like, knock to get guards' attention while you run around the corner and hide from them.
Were you at any point hiding under a cardboard box?
I didn't find a cardboard box, actually. No. So I was like waiting for it. Like, where's the box?
It's gotta be there, right?
Yeah, no, it has to be. I think those were even in the earlier ones, I'm pretty sure. But maybe I just missed it. Maybe I didn't get that far. Maybe it just hasn't shown up yet. I don't know. That was probably the most confusing part about it. But for the rest of it, it was fun, because I like the later Metal Gear games too, where they're very, like, 3D and immersive, and they have a lot more, like, simulation elements, like you have to manage your stamina and hunger and camouflage index and stuff like that. But on some level, the older ones are just playing hide and seek with, like, really, really stupid guard AI, which is fun. And it's fun because there's, like, a lot of different ways you can just exploit the AI, where you like I said, you just knock on a wall and you drag them around a corner, or you get them to walk around a corner, and then you sneak up on them from behind and knock them out. So not quite as, like, sophisticated of an experience as the later Metal Gears, but it was, like, very familiar and entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds like every stealth game I've ever played, so...
Yeah. I mean, it worked very well for the Game Boy format, too, where it's, like, just one little tiny screen at a time. Each individual screen is sort of like its own little self-contained puzzle. It's like, how do I get past this one specific layout of guards before moving on to the next screen? It was good. My favorite part was, so it's divided into little segments, like almost chapters, I guess. And at the end of each chapter, you get a sort of a summary of, like, how many guards you killed and how many times you were detected and all that stuff, and then it gives you a rating. And in the later Metal Gear games, they would do something similar. Like, at the end of the game, they would give you usually, like, an animal rating, depending on how well you did. And if you did really well, you would be like, snake or, like, fox or something, some, like, very impressive sounding animal. And I got my first one of these little evaluations after not having played this section particularly well, because I'm still kind of learning the game. So it's like, number of times detected, blah, 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 number of times killed, number of rations used. And then at the bottom, it just says, rating terrible. So, like, not even, I guess they're not even doing animals this time. They're just like, wow, you are an awful secret agent. Hope you do better in the next section.
Just good, better, best, and for special occasions, terrible.
Yes, just terrible. Like, not even, like, poor or below average or whatever. It's just like, we are disgusted by what we just saw.
We could rank, rope in the ratings that you got on what's the game? Tuba game? What's the game called?
Oh yeah, the Trombone Champ.
Trombone Champ.
It was like, nasty.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been excellent. Who knows? Maybe that's in there. Maybe, I don't know if that sounds worse than terrible. There's definitely room for me to do worse, but man, I'm trying to work my way up the ranking now.
Were you playing this on the Nintendo Online.
No, I just had like a Game Boy emulator. It's not.
Oh,
on
cool.
Actually, no, I don't think it's on the Nintendo Online thing.
Gotcha.
But that would be a cool one to put on there.
Yeah. Even just with the timing with the new Metal Gear collection, you would think somebody would be all over that.
Yeah. Well,
unfortunately,
with the deal with Konami. Yeah. So anyway, it was a lot of fun. I'll probably try and go back to it, or at least sort of keep it in my back pocket if I'm looking for a little stealth game to play.
Yeah. Fun. I was curious about your Spelunky playthrough, because did you manage to get both daily challenges in?
I decided to just do one, because last year I tried to do Spelunky 1 and 2, and it just took a long time.
Gotcha.
So I started with Spelunky 1, and then the plan was to end the marathon with Spelunky 2, which I did, and was much less successful. But that's just how Spelunky 2 goes. That is a very difficult game.
I find that because the only sort of like daily challenge game that I really kind of have in my rotation, or have had in the last couple of years, is Slay the Spire. So I try to start my stream with a Slay the Spire daily as well. And for the last couple of years, it has been the first time I've played Slay the Spire in quite a while. So I started it up, and I'm like, what do these cards mean? And what are this character's abilities? I'm like, I really should have rehearsed before this.
A little warm up.
And the cool thing is that like every year it seems to like get my Slay the Spire itch again, and I continue to play for a couple of days afterwards. But I probably should better prepare myself. It probably would be a slightly more entertaining experience if I didn't, fail out on the first ascension every time because I haven't played in a year. It was good. I like the dailies in that are fun, as they mix up all the rules, and normally you get a very slow trickle of some of the artifacts and stuff like that change some of the conditions in the game, and the dailies just throw all of that stuff out the window and really like they transmutate like abilities from different characters and make cards do things they couldn't do before, and sometimes you're super overpowered and sometimes you're super underpowered, but it's always this weird like surprise collection of conditions that you have to meet in the daily. And I don't know. I get this sort of reminder every year. I'm like, this is a really good game. How have I slept on this? But then I remember I have like over 100 hours on it already.
Yeah. Do they like? Is it an abbreviated daily? Because I'm also not very good at Slay the Spire, so those games, like each playthrough takes me forever. But I can't imagine like I could maybe play one game of Slay the Spire per day, because it just takes me so long. So are the dailies shorter, or they expect you to do basically a full run each time?
I think the expectation, like the roadmap, is a full run every time.
Oh, wow.
Some of the conditions may be such that a full run is impossible, but I think the expectation is that you hang in there as long as you possibly can. So,
wow, okay, that's intense.
Yeah, it can be, but I mean, some of the fun of Slay the Spire sometimes is like getting to the third stop on the map, and there's like 3 maps in a single ascension, and there's multiple stops and pathways on the way to the kind of the mini boss before you get to the third boss, which is the big one. And sometimes you get to the third stop on the first map and you get wiped out, and sometimes you're like, inching your way with 1 health left at the final boss. So it is always this like push-pull like surprise to see how far you get every day.
Yeah.
More often than not, it's usually me dying in the first or second map. It's not the ones where I can sort of like get to the top of the spire and then loop back and do another ascension are always super rare and a big treat. And of course, the minute I hop onto Reddit, there's people who are like, "Oh, I did 6 ascensions today," which is basically playing the game 6 times,
doing it daily, yeah,
right, without dying. And I'm like, well, you are a very skilled gamer. I can only aspire to.
Yeah. I see the same thing. Like, I don't know why I was reading the Spelunky Reddit, and I guess I've just subscribed to it, so that's probably why.
Yeah.
But, like, there's a few different ways you can attempt to complete Spelunky 2. One is you can just get the normal ending, which is already quite difficult. I can't do it every single time. And then there's the secret ending, which is, like, an order of magnitude more difficult. And then there's like the extra secret ending, which is you get the secret ending, and then it unlocks this 99 stage sort of like extra mode. Which, if you imagine playing through just 99 stages, that is, it's not only difficult, that is just a time commitment at that point. It's like it takes several hours to get through that many Spelunky stages.
Wow.
And I saw some people saying recently, like, oh, so and so completed like the 99th stage of the bonus level like 3 days in a row during the daily. It's just like, Jesus. That is, first of all, you're very, very good at Spelunky, but man, that's just a lot of Spelunky to be playing every single day.
Yeah. These are not. I've certainly not gotten that far on Spelunky, but when it comes to Slay the Spire, it's not a. I mean, sometimes it's a 10-minute game, but most of the time, like it is a time commitment, like you said, and particularly once you start cycling through some of those ascensions, playing the game over and over again with increasingly difficult enemies and crazy conditions, it does get a little wild and can be quite time consuming. So it's not one of these like pick up and play like 5-minute micro game experiences. It is if you're going to do the daily, clear at least an hour of your day.
Yeah, and that's about how long they would take me on average just doing the regular, or maybe the secret ending in Spelunky 1. But yeah, I can't imagine just 3 days in a row doing the full 99 level clear. Because it's also like you can't just, well, I guess you could maybe pause it for a little while, but if you just get tired of playing it, you can't like put it in sleep mode and come back the next day, I assume. Because then they're already on to the next daily, so you're disqualified.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Some Spelunky players out there are crazy.
Or gone to work in 3 days. All I do is Spelunky.
Right, just trapped in here.
Send me your donations for Extra Life, by the way.
Yeah,
that's wild.
Yeah, I kind of like talked myself out of ever doing the 99 stage thing because I'm just like, I would be satisfied with getting the secret ending one day. But I feel like if I even attempted the 99 level thing, then that would just be like an unchecked box on my like Spelunky achievement list, and it would bother me.
You need to start channeling some of your Final Fantasy time into Spelunky, DJ. Yeah.
That's not the worst idea.
Find a team to play with, and
some people like you. I don't know if you say that as a joke, but some people will do the entire. Actually, now I'm trying to think. Can you do the daily co-op? I'm not sure. You can definitely go into the 99 stage mode in co-op, but I don't know if that's like you can do it during the actual daily or not. But some people will just clear all on 99 stages with 4 people. Like whatever, big deal. It's a lot.
The true test of any friendship.
Yeah. You think like having co-op partners in a game is usually helpful. I don't know if that's the case in Spelunky.
Yeah.
Anyway, it'll be a while before I have my own Spelunky static group that I'm trying to clear the extra secret ending with.
I didn't even know it supported 4-player co-op. I can't imagine what that would be like playing. Again, I'm not the Spelunky expert that you are, but the single experience I've had as a single player felt pretty chaotic.
Oh yeah, well, it's very dangerous with more than one person in there. I'm sure there's a lot of crazy stuff you can do. Like, I think you can like boost people up onto ledges where you wouldn't normally be able to climb, or one person's got a pickaxe and the other person's a shotgun, so you kind of are doing different things in the level. But it's also just really dangerous because it's really easy to kill the other player at any time. just like bop them on the head the wrong way and or shotgun ricochets off something and takes them out. I don't know.
And in that scenario, they're out, but you get to continue playing?
Yeah, I think eventually you can revive them, but it's not like you go over and press the A button and they come back immediately.
Right. Well, cool. What else? What else did we play that day? You and I played Golf Gang together with Deadly Gearhead.
Yeah. This was a lot of fun.
It was this kind of random steamed thing we found. I think you and I had a vague memory of seeing this at a gaming convention at some point in the past, right?
I think.
How did this come on our radar?
Well, I remember seeing a trailer for this, which was like essentially a bunch of really over-the-top YouTubers all playing it. And it was like one of the most grating trailers for a game that I've ever seen. But as soon as I got over the fact that they're all like yelling memes at each other over this trailer, I was like, wait a minute, this game actually looks like a lot of fun. Because what it is a simultaneous or real time, I guess, game of mini golf where up to 8 people just all golf at the same time.
Right. Not
So
waiting your
it's
turn
like
politely to take your
No,
turn.
no.
Yeah.
It's like a race, essentially. And, you can, all the golf balls are like colliding with each other and, ruining everybody's shots. And, it's just a lot of screaming and like moments of frustration.
There was a bit of that, yes. Yeah.
But I had a really good time with it. It was a great party game. Unfortunately, we only had, it was just us 3 playing it, but you could get a sense, like, if you had a full roster of 8 people, just how crazy it would get. It would be like one of those Mario Kart races where it's like, this is too many people on the track. Why are there so many people here?
Yes, and I think there's a ton of like modifiers in the game where you can turn on different conditions that make the game maddeningly weird or difficult or yeah, I don't know. One of the ones that you landed on, just for the sake of our listeners' example, was anytime your ball collided with another player's ball, there was like a massive explosion.
Yeah, classic.
And mini golf balls went flying everywhere. We were setting off quite a few alarms with that, with just 3 players playing. So again, I just only imagine the level of chaos with having 8 people going simultaneously and having that modifier turned on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never quite mastered it where I think the idea is you like aim yourself at somebody else's ball. Sure. And the explosion causes them to go off the course. So they, they are set back quite a bit. But I would always I would be the one who would get sabotaged, even though I was trying to like set up my shot to take somebody else out. So yeah. Not sure how that was working, but
I think we were questioning that at one point. Like, if I'm the aggressor, how come I'm still getting blown off the course?
Yeah.
But yeah, or maybe it's just all is fair in love and war kind of situation, and everybody gets blown up. It's not you're not immune just because you were the one who hit the other guy.
Yeah, maybe just karma. Like, why should you get a reward for trying to sabotage the other guy? Like, here you go. We'll just knock yourself off the course.
Yeah, but yeah, there were a lot of like really chaotic kind of moving obstacles, and there were modifiers to mess with the gravity, so that it was either super high, right, or super low. So balls were just flying all over the place, and yeah, it was insane. There were periods where like you would go off a ramp and your mini golf ball would turn into a glider, and then you had to glide through a series of increasingly difficult and smaller hoops to try to get to the other side of the course, and it was just this like full-on assault of all the sort of genteel rules of mini golf, and yeah, it was a ton of fun.
Yeah, the modifiers were a lot of fun, to the point where I could see like it reminded me of playing old like team first person shooters or something, where there would be that weird rule modifier that everybody just decides they can't live without, and they're like, oh, we're only going to play like in GoldenEye, like License to Kill or whatever. So it's like, one bullet kills everyone. Sure. And we can't play it normally anymore.
Slappers only.
Yeah. So I could see people playing Golf Gang every week and they're like, oh, we only play low gravity mode, because it's almost a completely different game.
Yes.
But yeah, we didn't even check out half of the modifiers, but there was some extra goofy stuff in there.
Yeah. Well, and some of them were gated, and that was one of the frustrating things about it, is you had to buy the modifiers. So the 3 of us were quickly trying to amass enough kind of mini golf in-game currency to be able to buy some of these modifiers to see what they did, while also trying to sort of like kid out, because you could put like little cowboy hats and stuff on your golf ball. So we had money to burn.
Yeah.
I mean, that was one of the things that we always liked about Red Faction Guerrilla multiplayer.
Oh, yeah. All the little weird modifiers.
Yeah, to tweak all those little in-game modifications. Again, for the sake of our listeners, the way that game worked is there were racks full of backpacks, and if you put a backpack on, it gave you, as a player, a different ability. And so you could curate going into the game which backpacks were available, and some of them would allow you to do big gusts of wind as you ran into other people, or be able to run super fast and things like that. And there were much more chaotic ones in there too. So the best parts of that game were always just turning on the most insane ones. And I think the one where you sort of would go storming through somebody at high speed, it was like a rhinoceros mode, wasn't that?
Oh yeah, that was good.
You're knocking down buildings and also sort of like just blasting anybody in the vicinity out of the way. So no, those were always a good time.
Yeah. Man, I miss the old custom rule lobbies, whatever game it is. We're just like, oh yeah, only headshots in this lobby. Like, oh, okay, sounds fun.
Yeah. Is that less of a thing these days? That seems like
I don't know. I mean, I
yeah.
don't really play that type of game anymore. I'm sure it
Yeah.
exists somewhere. Like, even in Battlefield, when I was still spending time with that, you'd find lobbies that were like, instant vehicle respawn, so there'd just be vehicles all the time. Or another popular one was just like 10 times as many tickets, so the rounds would just last for hours and hours. Nothing quite as dramatic as, one-shot kills or, big head mode or whatever, but that spirit is still alive out there somewhere.
Yeah, that was a good time though.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. That was on Steam. Maybe we can get another golf gang night going at some point. That'll be pretty fun.
Yeah, it's fairly cheap, and the barrier to entry is not super high. And like, you immediately get it if you understand sort of the concept of get the ball into the hole. You know what you're doing. So quickly got good at it and sort of started trying to develop strategies to get ahead of the other players. It was fun.
Yeah.
What else? I checked out a new game on Game Pass called Jusant that I'll mention only briefly because I want to. I did go back to it after playing it during Extra Life, and I want to go again and play it. And you're also playing it, but
yeah, I just started this.
This is a new game from Don't Nod, the folks that made one of those games that they made.
They did Life is Strange and Tell Me Why. What was the most recent one they did? Maybe it was Tell Me Why.
They did Vampire and Remember Me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Then the hook here is that you are you're climbing a mountain, and sort of the story evolves. Not really even a mountain, like a pillar, almost. And the story evolves through things that you pick up and artifacts that you interact with and stuff like that. And it uses really interesting controls to sort of like marionette, essentially. You're using the right and left triggers to grab handholds on your way up the mountain. It's not like a Uncharted or a Tomb Raider thing where like you look for the glowy bits and you kind of automatically climb up. You actually are sort of doing some kind of controller work to get your character up the side of this mountain. Pausing for breaks and giving yourself a moment for your arms to relax and exploring a little bit on different landings and doing it all over again. And it was really cool. It's definitely a very sort of unique and kind of new approach to this type of game.
Yeah. I really like it so far. It's like you said, it's a bit like the climbing sections from Uncharted, but if that was the entire game, so it's sort of developed to a point where it's not just, press the X button and you autopilot up the mountain, but there's a lot of thought put into the actual climbing, and you have all these climbing tools you can use. It's a bit like Death Stranding in a way where instead of walking very carefully in that game, you're just like climbing up a mountain, but you have to be very thoughtful about your route and sort of your physical limitations.
Yeah.
It reminds me a lot of, I don't know if you played this game called Grow Home, where you're a little robot trying to climb a beanstalk.
Yeah.
I think it was very similar, where you would have, you could grip using one of the buttons. I forget if you used both your arms to grip, but it was very sort of physics and like ragdoll-y, where it got kind of comical at points because you'd be trying to like climb up this beanstalk, but you'd end up in these weird contorted positions just because of the way the physics work in that game. This is a little more realistic, at least in the way that the character animates, but it reminds me very much of that, where it's like a very thoughtful and deliberate climbing experience.
Yeah. So DJ and I will continue to pick at that, and we'll dig a little deeper in a future episode of the show here. But I definitely want to see the end of it. I'm curious, and I've had a lot of fun with just kind of learning my way up the side of the mountain and plotting my paths and using all the different tools and stuff that we have available.
Yeah.
What else did you dig into that was fun or interesting, or maybe something you checked out for the first time during the stream?
Let's see. So one of the shorter or the briefer games on the list was this one called Korokoro Harley, which is I think it's a port of a mobile game. It's a port of Harley Swipe and Tumble for iOS. I assume probably it's on Android as well. But It's basically a game where you control a little rolling hedgehog via various means. Like on the Switch version, you use the gyroscope, but you can also use the analog sticks, and the mobile version, you can use the touchscreen as well. And you just steer him around to get to pick up coins and a secret star in every level, and eventually guide him to like a cannon, which shoots you towards a bullseye, and you have to sort of land in the middle to max out your score. And so it's a pretty simple game, but what caught my attention is like when you start it up, there is the option to play as a cute hedgehog, and then the other option is a strong hedgehog. And if you activate the strong hedgehog mode, it takes like your character, and actually just the character on the title screen or the character select screen, turns into a hedgehog on the body of like a male model. There's a shirtless male model hanging out on the title screen with a hedgehog for a head. And then there are a bunch of characters you can unlock because it's like a gacha game for some reason, and all of the other characters are like spiny things on the bodies of male models. So there's like a porcupine man, there's a pineapple, which I unfortunately wasn't able to unlock, so I could only sort of make out the pineapple human hybrid silhouette. Oh, there was a chestnut man. Chestnuts aren't spiny, so I don't know what that was doing in there, but the chestnut was very good. Just a really weird sort of artistic decision. It certainly got me to download the game and check it out, though. So, good for them. They cracked it. The game itself is fine. It's, I'll play any game where you roll something around a maze with an accelerometer for an hour or so. But
is that what you were doing? You're not even using the stick. You're just moving the Switch around?
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, you can use the stick, but I feel like that's like, why wouldn't you just use the accelerometer? That's so much more interesting. Oh, the other thing you can do is since you're a hedgehog, if you push any button as you're rolling around, your spines extend, which is like, not really how a hedgehog works, but just humor them in this case. But it like sticks you to the ground, so you can very easily stop yourself from careening off the edge. And that makes it sound, I felt going into it like this is going to just trivialize the entire game right here, being able to stop myself at any point, but it's still like quite challenging, some of the maps they've designed.
Oh, fun.
So if you're in the mood for a super silly, kind of questionable hedgehog rolling game, it's definitely, Korokoro Harley. Maybe check it out. It's very cute and kind of silly.
Questionable hedgehog rolling game.
Yeah. It's I just don't quite understand what the inspiration behind the strong hedgehog was.
It's only $3. I think I need to play this.
Yeah.
Right.
Can't go
Sold.
wrong.
I'll take all your $3 games. Just bring them on. What else you got for $3?
Did I play anything else for $3? I don't know. I tried to go back to the toilet paper game. Oh yeah. Speaking of just games you play with a weird controller, but I feel like, and I'm just going to blame the controller again, I could not, despite my best efforts, get a roll of toilet paper that was perfectly cylindrical and would roll evenly. Because like the way this game works, you put the Joy-Con in the toilet paper roll, and you roll it back and forth to control like how the roll moves on the screen. And as you can imagine, if you don't have a very uniform roll of toilet paper, it's very awkward to control on the screen. So I was just getting very frustrated, and didn't end up playing this game as long as I have in the past. So I don't know. At some point, maybe I will encounter the ideal, perfectly cylindrical toilet paper roll in my travels. But until then, I'll probably put this game back on the shelf for a while.
Well, we should put this challenge to our listeners. Send your toilet paper rolls to DJ at VGHangover.
Please do not send me your toilet paper. Oh my God.
We should open a P.O. box just for that. Let's see how many we get.
Yeah.
Yep.
God, that would just be the weirdest mail-in campaign.
Cool. One of the games that I jumped into in the afternoon was another Game Pass game that I've kind of been itching to check out. Is Mineko's Night Market. This was one of those cozy games, those wholesome games that they teased, I think, during the Wholesome Direct. earlier this year, and I was super into it. It looked cute. It looked funny. You're a little kid who moves to a small Japanese town, and there are mysteries abound about this sort of cat deity that kind of a lot of people don't believe exists, but is part of local folklore. The town is crawling with secret agents trying to find proof of the mysterious cat person. And you do errands and meet townspeople and make friends and try to prove if the little cat goddess, I guess, is real. I thought it would be cute and kind of wholesome. It's got beautiful art style. It looks kind of like construction paper cut out, very exaggerated features for some of the characters and stuff. And it has like a little village sim life kind of thing. And this little slice of Japanese life is really appealing to me. The reviews were a little rough when it first came out. I guess it sort of leans a little too heavily into like very grindy fetch quests in the late game. I didn't see any of that in the hour and a half or so that I played it. It was just super charming. It was really like surprisingly funny, like really funny dialogue. The little girl who is the main character is a little sarcastic and a little snarky and has like super funny little one-liners about like life in a small Japanese town and all these weird things happening. There's like a little stealth mode where you're trying to sneak around to rescue cats that the secret agents have captured, and so there's like you kind of tiptoeing around them while you're plotting out their patrol routes with flashlights and stuff like that. So I think it's a very similar experience to Metal Gear, if I had to guess.
Yeah, sure. Like, these games just go hand in hand.
Yeah, but I really liked it. I want to get back to it. It's another one that I've sort of like got a taste for during Extra Life, and I'm like, when I have a slightly longer game play period, I definitely want to get back to Mineko and check out some of the more stuff you can do and play the game a little bit longer.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, but it's beautiful. It is a really just absolutely unique and clearly sort of a labor of love for the developers here. So if you have Game Pass or any of this sounds kind of fun to you, it's on what's it on? It's on Switch. It's on PS5. Definitely check out Mineko's Night Market.
Cool. I was going to say I wrapped up the night, but it was not even close at that point. I think this was roughly halfway through the marathon. But I played this spooky game called Parasocial, which is another game from Chilla's art, which it's like a small dev team. I think it's just two brothers who make these spooky Japanese horror games.
Oh, yeah. You were all
and I played some of these. Yeah. I played a bunch of these last year throughout October and during Extra Life, and I dug this one up. I think it came out earlier this year, and I think it might be my favorite of all their games that I played so far.
Oh, neat.
They're like all sort of just these first-person adventure games. They all have kind of this like almost photorealistic look to them. Like all the environments are very realistically textured, and because it's first person and they're all horror games, everything is like very poorly lit. So it's like really good atmosphere. And they tend to have like some jump scares, but for the most part I feel like they're all pretty well earned. They're not just like monsters jumping out at you all over the place. In fact, there's not a whole lot of like supernatural stuff in them at all. They're like pretty sparing on, ghosts popping up. But the premise in Parasocial is that you are a video game streamer. So that just added an extra layer of like weird meta, like whatever, like meta-ness to it.
Metanosity.
Yeah, whatever the adjective form that is. And I really like this premise because it sounds like it's such just a classic sort of horror premise. Like it reminds me of The Ring or something, where you sit down to do your evening stream, and of course you've got like your little VTuber avatar on one screen set up so nobody can see your face, and you start playing this horror game. Like within Parasocial, you are also playing another game, which is just another fun layer on top of everything. And the whole time you're sort of like, you're controlling this character in the game, and you can still look around the room that you're playing the game in. It's like, is there somebody sneaking up on me or something like that, or you just sort of expect something like that to happen. But that's a super fun element. And as you, when you wrap up the game, one of the people in your chat is like, "Hey, I'm a huge fan. I made a game that I would really love to see you play on the stream." So it's like, okay, here's the weird like VHS cassette that you find, and you're not supposed to watch, but since as far as we know, everything's fine, we'll just give it a shot. So you play this fan game somebody's made. And when you complete the fan game, like everything seems normal, except you notice like the chat is like scrolling super fast, like everybody's putting comments in the chat for some reason. And it took me a while to figure this out, but you like look back over at your little VTuber screen, and the VTuber avatar is gone, and it's just showing the actual streamer's face. So that was like, it's kind of a shock, but I thought it was a very sort of like interesting and very like prescient horror element where you basically are just getting like doxxed online by people on Twitch. So really like weirdly relevant. And then the rest of the game turns into sort of like, okay, so now is there somebody like cyber stalking me? What are the ramifications of like having my face out on the internet suddenly? So really interesting scenario. And of course it still has the same like Chilla's art spooky atmosphere all over the place. So I just thought it was a great combination of sort of like a typical horror experience plus these weird new like psychological elements from just being an online personality.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Plus there's like the scene where you have to go to the convenience store, and then on the way back there's like a guy following you. So just like, oh man, this is like really uncomfortable. Just being like a young woman out at night and there's like somebody following you home. It's like really kind of like really creepy. So I had I guess I had a good time with it. A very effective horror game.
It certainly sounds like it has a lot more kind of layers to it than what I remember from the previous games.
Yeah, I mean the other ones are fun too because they felt like sort of just spooky Japanese ghost stories. Like, oh, what happened at the radio station where everybody committed suicide? Wonder why that happened. But this felt like it could actually happen to somebody. Getting stalked online, which is like not a great thing, but it's I think that just makes it more effective where it's a very plausible scenario. So yeah, there were a few sequences where like you're getting chased and you have to like respond very quickly, which I felt are always kind of like the weak aspects of these games. The sequences where you can get like a game over and are forced to keep retrying until you get the sequence correct.
Oh, really?
But fortunately, those are there are not a lot of those, and I felt like the rest of it was very, very well done. So yeah, I was very pleasantly surprised. I really don't know what to expect from a lot of these Chilla's art games because all the ones I played have been like pretty like fairly different from each other, other than just the first-person strange Japanese horror atmosphere. But I thought this one was really cool, and I'm curious to see what sort of the next ones they're developing will be like.
That's cool. It's cool that they've kind of created this umbrella brand, and I think you must be at a point where you're like, oh, there's a new Chilla's art game. I don't kind of care what it's about. I'll play it because I get the brand, right? Or you're like the previous games.
Yeah.
It seems like, so it's interesting in that they seem to be sort of like tying a few elements from different games together. Like I think in this one you meet your friend at a cafe, and it's like a cafe that was in one of the other Chilla's art games. So maybe they're all building this cohesive universe or whatever.
It's the MCU of Japanese horror.
Man, the one of my favorite things about this is just the way all the people are drawn in the game, or like modeled and textured, I guess, is just so unsettling. Because they look like you took a photo of somebody and put it onto a 3D model, so it just doesn't look very realistic. So like early in the game, after you've had this traumatic experience on the stream, you call your friend to come over so you can chat about it.
and she shows up in the little like the peephole in your door. And, she's just your friend. It's totally fine. But you look through the peephole and it just looks like a corpse is standing there. It's like, oh, God. What's wrong with your face? So just whenever you run into another person in this game, it's like mildly shocking. Which just, man, it's so weird. It's just like real uncanny valley stuff.
Mm.
But that just adds to the the horror experience, I guess.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at screenshots. That's disturbing.
Yeah, they just look weird. Don't look like human beings.
Mm.
But anyways, that's Chilla's art, Parasocial. Continue to really enjoy all these games. I may end up playing a couple more of them in the coming month, just because I feel like I was behind on spooky games last month.
Every day is Halloween, teacher.
Yeah.
Cool. I dipped into some other stuff. I went back to Animal Crossing for the first time in a long time. I went back to Splatoon 3 for the first time in a long time. Those are
all
always
of your
very
villagers
fun.
still there?
And nobody's moved out. Yeah, I don't think that's part of the game anymore. I still
Really?
live in Mortal. Yeah, I think so. They certainly would have moved out by now. Everything on my island was decorated for Christmas, so it's been since December of last year that I've played. If I remember correctly, I think it was New Year's Eve last year, because I had the COVID and I was sitting in bed playing video games, ringing in the new year. I think I was doing it in my Animal Crossing village. And then I don't think I played it again after that. So I got a lot of the guilt, like, oh my God, where have you been? I've looking all over for you. That is always painful, but, it was nice to sort of revisit my island and have a sort of like a fresh look at some of the things like that I had built and some of my layout and stuff like that. And, I was like, oh, I wonder if I'll get the itch again to go back to Animal Crossing. I did not. So, but it was fun to sort of see it with fresh eyes. And I apparently sort of let the clock run out with some turnips in my inventory.
Oh, no.
So they all turned into mush a year ago. It's just, it's fun. Yeah. I'm like, I like the Animal Crossing. I wish they continued to do more stuff with it, because I hung in there for a very long time.
Yeah. Maybe with the next one, maybe it'll finally just be a continuous thing. That's something I'd really like to see. But I think this one had a good run.
Yeah, no, certainly. And again, you could not beat the timing for this coming out at the beginning of 2020, and the entire world shutting down a few days later. So it definitely helped me get through what would have otherwise been probably a pretty boring time in my life.
Yeah. Oh man, did you see the new Like a Dragon Yakuza game just has an Animal Crossing mini game in it?
Yes. Yeah. I'm very excited about that game. The more I see about it, the more I'm like, all right, I really like that last Like a Dragon, but this seems to like just blow all of that stuff out of the water. So they are absolutely doubling down on that game, and I'm here for it. I can't wait to play it.
It just feels like, they do this every single time, where it's like, oh, we had, Space Harrier. You could go to the arcade and play Space Harrier in one of the Yakuza games. And the next one, it was like, all right, we've ported these like 5 full arcade games into this. And she's like, what? Like, I didn't even have time to play all the mini games in the last one.
Yeah.
And now it's like, you're telling me there's a whole Animal Crossing island with like you could probably just play that for 100 hours and never even touch the main story. Yeah,
I'm curious about that. Is to DJ's point, it is an island that your character can visit in the game, and it is inhabited by sort of animal villagers, and you have tasks there, and you run errands. And
are they animals, or are they just like humans?
They look like humans in like animal costumes. They look.
Oh, great. Okay.
Yeah, but they're your cute animal friend villagers. Like human size, the proportions are a little weird in a way that the proportions in Animal Crossing are a little weird, because your human is basically a little kid.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah. And all of your animal friends are like kid sized. It's definitely strange in the way that most things about Yakuza are strange, at least in my experience. Yeah. I can only imagine just how much depth there is to this, compared to just based on my experience with the previous game, and what the kart racer in that game, you could just play for days and days and days, and karaoke. And like you said, there was an arcade, you could go and play full games on these cabinets and stuff. And I was like, there's a main plot to this too. I'm also trying to like run a business and
Yes.
run errands and move the story forward. Yeah, Yakuza's just nuts.
Yeah, I really don't understand how they pull it off every time.
Yeah. But that's
I
January,
remember seeing
right?
it's soon. Yeah.
It's not that far away, yeah.
Yeah. The little side story thing just came out, so you gotta spend a few hours on that, and then you can get back to the main series.
Oh, cool.
I just remember seeing, like, in the trailer, at one point they're, like, rolling out, like, landscaping or pavement or something on the island. And I was like, oh, man, the interface for this is already light years beyond what it was in the actual Animal Crossing. Like, what if this ends up being better than Animal Crossing? What a shock that would be.
What if it sets the bar for the next Animal Crossing game?
Yeah. It'll be real hilarious when the new Animal Crossing comes out and it has all these, like, very familiar elements because they're all in the Yakuza version of Animal Crossing.
Just stuff it took from Yakuza.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's called Dondoko Island. There's a trailer on the internet. We'll put a link to it in the show notes if our listeners are curious. It's the Dondoko Island reveal from Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. And it is. It's Kiryu, right? Running around with all of his strange little animal friends.
Yeah, I think it's the new guy, right? It's Ichiban. Or,
Oh, right. Yeah,
Kiryu's
there you
on
go.
this one
Yep.
too, though, so it could be both of them. I don't know.
Yes, you're right. It is, yeah, because they do both overlap from the two Yakuza series.
Yeah, well, I'm glad Kiryu doesn't miss out on the chance to go to the vacation island then.
For a character that retired a couple of games back, he got a lot of action.
You know, he was already running the orphanage. They should have, and they didn't even turn that into a full game mode, really. So I feel like that would have been more his thing.
Orphanage Management Simulator.
Yeah, exactly. He's too busy playing golf on that one.
Yeah, January 26th. That's not that far away.
Mm.
All right, cool. What, anything else? Anything else on your list? I think that's about it for me.
Oh, I played a ton of other stuff, but I'm going to save it for next week or the week after, perhaps.
We have to make more shows.
It's like, yeah, I mean, it's played a lot of games because we were playing games all day. But yeah, save it.
Cool. All right. We should wrap this thing up then. If you need any more video game hangover in your brain, you should follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/VGHangover. And you can always get show notes and links and tell us what you thought about this episode at VGHangover.com. We would love for you to join our Discord. You can hang out with us and chat about video games. You can get a link to that at VGHangover.com. And please subscribe, rate, and review us on your podcasting app of choice. Maybe help us out by telling your friends about the show.
Yeah, really helps us get the word out, bring in new listeners. We appreciate that a lot if you just recommend us to your friends. We want to give thanks again to Fear of Dark for our intro and outro music this week. You can check out more of his work at fearofdark.bandcamp.com. Maybe buy an album or two.
Yeah. We'll be back next week. Until then, this is Randy Dickinson.
This is DJ Ross.
Thanks so much for listening to Video Game Hangover. Goodbye.
Good night.
See ya.